November 1971. A man steps off the rear stairs of a Boeing 727, dropping into a freezing rainstorm over the Pacific Northwest. He is committing what remains the only unsolved commercial skyjacking in aviation history. Hours earlier, he boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 like any other passenger. He ordered a bourbon, handed the stewardess a note, and opened a briefcase to reveal a grade of red cylinders and copper wire. To survive that jump, he had to withstand a 200-mile-per-hour slipstream in a business suit and loafers, with a wind chill factor of roughly minus 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The physical impact of hitting that air is the equivalent of being struck by a moving vehicle. When the plane finally landed in Reno, Nevada, the hijacker was gone. The only things left behind were his clip-on tie and a handful of filter-tipped cigarette butts. A commercial hijacking is usually a public spectacle, tracked by radar and witnessed by dozens. Yet this crime transitioned from a heavily documented flight to a total silence the moment he left the airframe. That single leap created a 50-year investigative vacuum. It is a hole in the historical record that modern forensic tools have been unable to fill. The timeline begins at Portland International Airport on the day before Thanksgiving. In an era before metal detectors and ID requirements, the man simply bought a $20 ticket at the counter and walked toward Gate 4. Once in the air, he kept his head down and his sunglasses on. He communicated through handwritten notes, ensuring the crew remained calm and the other 36 passengers remained unaware that the flight was under his control. He dictated exact parameters for his escape, flying below 10,000 feet with landing gear down and flaps at 15 degrees to maintain a slow airspeed. Directly beneath lay the Lewis River area, Washington wilderness characterized by vertical ravines and impenetrable evergreen canopy. He signed his ticket as Dan Cooper. A local reporter, rushing to meet a deadline, mistakenly added the initials DB to the name, accidentally creating the pseudonym the world would follow for the next half-century. We have a precise log of his movements, his drinks, and his demands right up until 8:13 p.m. At that second, the pressure sensor in the cockpit recorded a sudden upward oscillation, and the evidence trail ended. The FBI cross-referenced thousands of fingerprints and checked the records of every Dan Cooper in North America. They never found a single match or a real name to put to the face in the sketches. Ground teams spent months scouring these square miles of timber. If he had died on impact, the search should have yielded a parachute, a briefcase, or human remains. Instead, the forest returned nothing but silence. Even the physical artifacts that were eventually found, like a few bundles of ransom money eroding on a riverbank, or the tie left on the plane, failed to provide a DNA profile or a direct link to any of the 800 suspects. Standard forensic deduction requires triangulation. You connect a known identity to a specific location and a physical trace. Here, there are no data points to anchor the center of the web. This case is a statistical outlier because of what isn't there: no name, no body, and no definitive physical link to a living person. In 2016, after compiling 60 volumes of investigative files without producing a single arrest, the FBI officially suspended the active case. The mystery rests on two possibilities. Either he executed a flawless landing and navigated miles of dense timber in the dark, or the sub-zero conditions and high-altitude jump resulted in a quiet, unrecorded death. Because the investigation produced no conclusion, the public began to treat the hijacker as a folk hero rather than a fugitive. The absence of facts allowed a criminal act to transform into a legend. Is D.B. Cooper's disappearance the result of a perfectly calculated escape, or is it simply a secret that the Earth refused